I'm David Solo. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, and I've had a series of concussions in my life, from bike accidents and work injuries and things like that. The reason that I'm here is that I had a concussion about a year and a half ago, and I had symptoms that worsened over the first 2 or 3 weeks, which isn't out of the ordinary, but then things plateaued and I never got better. Before this last concussion, my life was a lot bigger in a sense that I could go see live music. I'm in school, and I had started school about 4 months before the concussion. Had no problem following lectures, no problem reading, no problem doing assignments. After my concussion, all of these things, my life started to shrink. So I had great sound sensitivity. I had trouble following lectures. I had memory issues. I also work as an architectural designer and an architectural photographer. And I found that with photography, I couldn't remember the software that I'd known for years that I've been working. It was like second nature. And suddenly, just vast areas of it were no longer was I able to get access to that in my mind. So the work ended up taking so long that I stopped doing it. The other thing was irritability. I noticed a rise of irritability that happened after the concussion. And then just vestibularly, I used to play sports. I used to play tennis. I used to do karate. My daughter loves doing karate. I loved that we shared this thing. But quick head movements would send me into nausea and dizziness that would last for hours. And so I was not able to do those things either after the concussion. So it's a little silly, and I picked up my 10-year-old daughter from her sewing class, and we got a snack, and we were going to eat it. In our town, there's like a little square, and we were going to eat it, and Durham is called the Bull City. So there's a bronze bull, sculpture of a bronze bull. It sits on a little brick pedestal. And I was going to sit under there with my daughter, but I was wearing a floppy sun hat that she thought was the height of uncoolness. So she was like, "Dad, I don't want to sit with you. Can you sit over there?" So I took a seat on the other side of the square. And then about, 10 or 20 minutes later, she waved me over. And so I was so excited, I went rushing over to sit next to her. But my sun hat didn't allow me to see the snout of the bull that was protruding past the pedestal. And I just went right into that. And it felt like I would imagine getting a hit in the head with a metal baseball bat. I did not pass out. I did see, bright sparks and headache and, got a massive lump on my head and definitely felt woozy. But we walked home about a mile. But by the time I got there, I was having other symptoms, so we went to urgent care. The tests they give you are very simple. I think it's more they're worried that you have some brain bleed or some stroke-like symptoms. So they look at your pupils, they have you follow their finger, not very much. And then if you pass the test, they say you can go home. And so I did that, and my symptoms worsened, but I was told that was normal, so I stayed in bed for a couple of days. After about, I'd say 3 or 4 months, I got a new primary care physician. And that was my big thing. I came to him, I'm like, "Listen, I've had this thing since May, now it's September, and I have all of these symptoms." And his suggestion was, that maybe to give it more time. And then after a little while, he referred me to a neuro PT. And she was good, but the problem is not the people who work in medicine, it's the system. She has very limited time to work with me. She gives me a few exercises. Instructions are fairly limited. And I go home, and unbeknownst to me, I overdid it. So I would do these vestibular exercises to the point where I was nauseous for a few hours afterwards and overstimulated, but I didn't know that that was bad. I eventually went to see another physical therapist who was great, that I saw outside the system, and she gave me some saccades to do, and she gave me different vestibular exercises. She got me tried juggling, and she was just very creative in her approach. And actually with her, I did see some improvements. And she also told me not to push myself so hard. I mentioned to her that I was thinking about going to cognitive effects, and she said, you could get more done at a week or two at cognitive effects than you can get done with me in a year. And that was like mind-blowing. For somebody who's in the field and who's good at their job, she's excellent at her job, to give that kind of recommendation was amazing. And it was the second recommendation I had. My therapist in Durham had a loved one who came here a long time ago, I think when you were first starting out, and she had a remarkable recovery. She was years suffering from concussion. She went to see neurologists and everything she could do. And she came here for 2 weeks and her life changed. Shortly thereafter, she had almost a full recovery in just a matter of weeks. Now, I'm not expecting that for me. She was young and all these other things, but the combination of two people that I trusted giving such a high recommendation made it a no-brainer. I was like, okay, I'm definitely doing this. So in my time at CFX, I'm not sure there was a moment that I had like an aha, this is opening up a door for me. It's more that there were many small windows into things that were happening that haven't happened since before my concussion, and even for a long, long time. For instance, I was able to move my head back and forth quickly. I was able to balance in ways I couldn't balance. I had full night sleeps, like 8-hour sleeps, uninterrupted, waking up feeling completely refreshed. These were all really new things for me. And these were things that were like, these were the things that gave me hope, because it's like, okay, this is what I'm capable of. This is something that, you know, is pointing to where I can be going if I just do the work. And then those were with balance, that was with vision, that was with motion. I haven't really noticed it so much with cognition, but in every other aspect, I've had these wonderful moments. I've also had some of the worst moments too, you know, so it's, you know, for anyone that's coming, you know, they should know that it's a roller coaster. And, you know, there will be times when you will have your worst night's sleep and you will have your most, you know, dizzying, nauseating experience maybe, and you might not be able to read, or, you know, whatever it is, you can't think properly, but they're short-lived. It's not like it's a long thing, and it changes so quickly that it's like, oh, okay, that's the difference. That's a big difference. I mean, from the very beginning, I felt like the folks here were looking at my results, at my brain, at my functionality, and they were tailoring exercises for me. And as I was doing those exercises, they would tweak them. Okay, well now try moving your elbow in, or look off to the right. I mean, everything it was in a constant state of flux, that the therapy was getting more and more tailored to what I needed. And that was really exciting. And it's unusual, you know, it's unusual where you're given that level of attention and people have that level of expertise that they're able to do that. I'd say that the most encouraging thing about my time here is that I've been given a tool set, and I've also been given windows into what's possible. So I know in my heart that when I go home and I have these things to do, that I will continue to get better. I don't know how far or what the end point looks like, but I know that my brain is going to change. And one great thing about being here too is it's not just my brain. I can apply this to everything in my life. I can apply this to my physical health. I can apply this to the things that I'm learning. Anything that seems like a barrier is only a barrier if you stop. If you keep going, the only place stopping you is you might hit an endpoint at some point, but unless you keep trying, you'll never know where that endpoint is. I'm ready to just keep moving in all directions and use all the tools I have to keep getting better. I would say to anybody who has suffered with long-term effects of any kind of brain injury, and when I say long-term, I don't think it necessarily has to be years, even months. I think that if you're not getting the help that you need where you are, and if people are just saying, well, this is as good as it's going to get, or here's a few exercises you can do, I would say that I wouldn't waste time. I would get here and get the help you need. You know, it's a disruption in people's lives. It costs money. It's time away from your family. But the benefits are immeasurable. And the level of therapy here is unlike anything I don't think anyone will be able to experience anywhere else.